Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, dear girls. How are you? Hope you are all fine, enjoying with your family along with these lectures. I am Sada Fishwag from Army Burnhall College for Girls, Abbottabad, and today I am going to deliver Lecture 11, same chapter, Chapter 11, Electrostatistics. First of all, before moving further, let me come to the review of previous lecture. It was lecture 7 and I taught you about field, that is electric field, potential gradient. We discussed in detail capacitor, its unit and uses, capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor and the combination of capacitors, that was series and parallel combination. After listening to today's lecture, you would be able to understand electric polarization, energy stored in a capacitor, and we are going to discuss two numerical problems. First of all, we come to the first topic, that is electric polarization. As we all know, polarization means separation, poles, ends. In case of electric polarization, when we deal with the capacitor, we all know the construction of a capacitor. Capacitor consists of two equal parallel plates where equal amount of opposite charges plus Q and minus Q are deposited, and these two plates are placed through small separation, very small distance, that is small d, according to our previous knowledge. Let me say that the area of each of the plate is given by A. Now what happens when any insulating material, that is any insulator, we call that insulator as a dielectric, when it is inserted in the region between the two plates of a capacitor, then what happens? As we all know that an insulator consists of number of atoms. We all know the shape of an atom, spherical in shape. We all know that there are positive charges, say protons, and negative charges, say electron, in an atom. We all know that normally when there is no electric field, then the atoms, they keep their shapes, that is spherical. So the center of mass of all the electrons which are revolving around the nucleus carrying protons is the same, that is the center of the nucleus. Similarly, the proton, that is positive charges, they also have the same center. But in that case, this was the case when there is no electric field which is applied across the two ends of the capacitor, that is the two plates. When insulating material with relative permittivity epsilon r is inserted into an initially charged parallel plates of a capacitor, let me consider an initially charged capacitor shown in the given figure, and in the given figure the negative charges appear on the left face and positive charges on the right face of the dielectric. Okay girls, what happens when there is no battery, there is no connection, then what happens? The number of atoms in the region between the two plates, they all lie randomly, and this is called dielectric. The phenomena is known as electric polarization when there is a connection, when we connect the plates of a capacitor with some terminals of the battery, creating an electric field. So in that case, what will happen, as we all know in the given figure, that this is giving you a positively charged plate, and after connecting the plates with the terminals of the battery, so this is the positive plate, it is connected with the positive terminal of the battery. So what happens? This plate is positively charged, and and this plate that is carrying negative charges is connected with the negative terminal of the battery. So what happens, that atoms in the dielectric, they will not keep their spherical shape, they would be oblong. How they would be oblong? In that case, because this is the positive charge of the capacitor, the charge on the positive charge plate of the capacitor, here the negative charges would be shifted because there is a force of attraction between negative and positive end. Similarly, positive end would be here. Similarly, on that side, this is giving you the negative plate of the capacitor. So in the insulator, in the atoms of the insulator that is dielectric, the positive charges would be shifted towards this negative plate, and this negative of the atom would be close towards the positive of the atom. So in this way, there would be an arrangement, a special arrangement of the atoms in an insulator, and at that moment the phenomena is known as electric polarization, and the dielectric, that is the insulator which is kept in between the two plates of a parallel plate capacitor, is known, it is said to be polarized under such condition. So as electric field due to induced charges is opposite to the external electric field, as we all know that this is the positive plate of the capacitor, negative plate of the capacitor. So what would be the direction of the electric field due to the battery? It would be from positive plate towards negative plate of the capacitor. While in that case, inside the insulator, just see here, what is the direction of the field? Positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative. And here also along this column of the atoms, again the direction of the field would be positive to negative, positive to negative. So in this way, overall, we observe one thing, that the field which is created in the region between the two plates of a parallel plate capacitor is opposite to the electric field which is created by the source. So what does it mean? This gives you an induced charge, an induced field, that is, this field is opposite to the field created by the battery. So as electric field due to induced charges is opposite to the external field, so it reduces the intensity of external field due to oppositely charged plates of the capacitor. So definitely what will happen, overall the net field will be reduced, and we all know that electric field, that is E, according to our previous knowledge I taught you in the topic potential gradient, we have derived an equation, if you remember girls, it was E is equal to V over D, where what was E? Electric field intensity. What was V? V was the electric potential difference. And what was D? D was the distance between the two parallel plates of a capacitor. Here, by introducing an insulator that is known as a dielectric, we observe that E, that is electric field intensity, the resultant electric field intensity, it reduces. So according to the relation E is equal to V by D, what happens? V also would be reduced. Alright, come to the equation of a capacitor, that is Q is equal to C into V. C would be equal to, what would be C? Q by V. So when V is decreased, so definitely the capacity of a parallel plate capacitor increases. Now I think you understood this fact, that here by reducing E, by reducing V, what happens? the capacity of a parallel plate capacitor increases. So this is the major factor by introducing an insulator. What is the use? Why we introduce an insulator? Just to increase the storing capacity of a capacitor. So we know that dielectric materials are made up of two types of molecules: polar molecules and non-polar molecules. So in case of polar molecules, as it is clear that the poles, the separation of positive and negative charges through small amount, which we call small distances, is known as polar molecules. So polar molecules are those creating poles without applying electric field, and non-polar molecules are those materials carrying negative and positive poles when exerted to external electric field. So in this way we have discussed here the two types of molecules, one having polar, other having non-polar ends, and in that case a polar molecule behave like a permanent dipole. In case of polar molecules, and what is a dipole? Dipole is a material carrying a net positive and net negative charge which are separated through small distances. So in case of polar molecules, a permanent dipole exists, although electrically neutral as a whole. Means when there is no electric field, still the substance shows the polar or a dipole. For example, sodium chloride, water, these are the materials which carry positive and negative and even when there is no electric field which is applied. In case of non-polar molecules, the substance shows poles when applied electric field. A non-polar molecule like oil has no electric dipole moment in the absence of an external field. The center of positive and negative charges coincide in the absence of an external field. I told you that in the absence of an electric field, the number of atoms in the dielectric keep their shape. Which shape? Spherical. The shape of an atom, where the positive and the center of the positive and negative particles carrying the same center. When a non-polar dielectric material is placed in an external field, it gets polarized. It is D-shaped, right? And the shape is oblong. At one end there would be a positive charge, at the other end there would be negative charge. So inducing an electric field which is in the direction opposite to the direction of the applied field. Under the action of external field, the centers of negative and positive charges shift and form dipoles. The system in which two charges of equal magnitude but opposite signs separated through the distance d are present is termed as a dipole. Electric dipole is represented by the symbol that is P, which is equal to modulus carrying all values positive, that is P is equal to Q into D, where what is P? P is representing an electric dipole, Q is the charge, may be negative or positive, and D is the separation between negative and a positive charge. P, do remember that P is a vector quantity. So we come to the fact, because I told you that in case of polarization what happens, there is a separation of negative and positive charges. So you can see here in the given figure that how the spherical shape of an atom is converted into this shape, oblong. At one end there is a negative charge, at the other end there is a positive charge. Same in this series of atom, same in this series of atom. If this is a positive plate, so the negative shifts here. So positive is shifted near the negative of this atom. So positive of this atom is shifted towards negative of this atom, and positive of this series of atom is shifted where? Towards the negative plate of the capacitor. All right. In that case, we have discussed in detail electric polarization. Hope you understood all this. Here is a solved example. Let me come to example 11.9. In this example, you see that there is a figure, and the figure shows a different combination of capacitors. How many capacitors? There are 3 capacitors. First capacitor C1, the second one C2, the third one is C3. If the total charge is 600 microcoulomb, then determine the values of V1 and C2. This is the statement of example 11.9. Now we come to the solution. In the solution we have to come to data. Data given first. So what is the total charge of this circuit diagram as given in the example represented by capital Q? It is equal to 600 into 10 raised to the power minus 6, because this is micro, and micro stands for 10 raised to the power minus 6. See. Okay, in the given figure, the values of the capacitance of the 3 capacitors are given. C1 is given by 15 microfarad, and we have to write it in this form, 15 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 farad. And what is C2? C2 is given as we have to find the value of C2. It is unknown, while C3 is given, that is 8 microfarad. 8 microfarad means 8 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 farad. And the voltage, the value of voltage, that is V2. All right, the value of this voltage V2, it is given, that is 20 volts. We have written over here, and V1 is to be calculated. No, we notice one thing, that V1 is giving you a voltage across and A and C1 capacitor, while V2 voltage is giving you the voltage across A and this end where the 2 capacitors C2 and C3 are connected in parallel. So this is giving you V2 and this is giving you V1. V2 is given but V1 is unknown. So what we will write down here in the required V1 and C2. Now we come to solution. First of all, as we all know, the equation of capacitor Q is equal to CV. Let me call this equation as equation number 1. Now, potential difference across C1 would be equal to Q over C1. Because Q is given, C1 is given, we can find the value of V1 by putting the value Q 600 microcoulomb, C1 15 into 10 to the power minus 6 farad, and by simplifying the unit capacitance and farad, we come to volt. So here we have found the value of V1. It was required V1 is equal to 40 volts. We have calculated. But we all know that C1 and C2 are connected in parallel. So what would be the potential difference V? So that would be V1 plus V2. This equation, if you remember, we derived in the lecture 7. I taught you this equation. Let me call this equation as equation number 3 because V1 we have calculated right now. V2 is given, and by putting these values, what we get 60 volts. So V for the capacitors C1 and C2 is given by 60 volts. All right. Now, what would be charge on capacitor C3? According to the equation of capacitor, it is given as Q3 is equal to C3 into V2. Girls, you can see here that we have written V2 because V2 is giving you the voltage across the two capacitors C2 and C3. So we can utilize its value over here. So Q3 is equal to, putting the value of C3 and V2 here, what comes? Q3 is equal to 160 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 coulombs. So this is the value of Q3. But we have to find C2, and in order to find C2 we have to use this equation Q2 over V2. V2 already we have calculated. How to find Q2? In order to find Q2, that is the charge on capacitor C2, what we have to do, we have to subtract the charge on C3 capacitor from the total charge. When we subtract it, what we get? We get the charge on capacitor C2. So Q2 is equal to 600 microcoulomb minus 160 microcoulomb. What we get? 440 microcoulomb. And after putting this these values in the equation, C2 is equal to Q2 over V2, we get this value, that is C2 is equal to 22 microfarad. So in this way, girls, we have calculated V2 and C2. Okay, now another solved example. Example 11.10. A 6 microfarad capacitor is charged to a potential difference of 200 volt and then connected in parallel with an uncharged 3 microfarad capacitor. Calculate the potential difference across the parallel plate capacitor. One thing which is given here, the nature of the combination of these two capacitors, how these are connected. These are connected in parallel combination. Now, first of all, we come to data given. What will we write down in the data given? As it is given here, 6 microfarad. So, capacitance of the charge capacitor, let me call this as C1, is given by 6 microfarad, which is equal to 6 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 farad. All right. And we come to 3 microfarad. Let me call it as C2, which is an uncharged capacitor. So, the capacitance of uncharged capacitor is given by C2, which is equal to 3 microfarad, which is equal to 3 into 10 raised to the power minus 6 farad. All right. Now, what is V1? V1 is also given, that is potential difference, that is 200 volt. It is given, so we write down here V1 is equal to 200 volt. What is required? The potential difference across parallel plate capacitor, that is V. So overall, the combination of the capacitors C1 and C2, which are connected in parallel, we have to find the potential difference. And how? By using the equation of capacitor, that is Q is equal to CV, where V is equal to Q over C equivalent. Why C equivalent? Because here the two capacitors are connected in parallel combination, and according to lecture 7, I taught you that how you find the equivalent resistance, the the equivalent capacitance of the two parallel plate capacitor by making use of this equation, that is C equivalent is equal to C1 plus C2. So by adding the two capacitance, what we get? 9 microfarad. So we have to put it the value, but before this we have to find the charge on C1 capacitor. Let it be Q. Q would be equal to C1 into V1. This is giving you C1, 6 into 10 raised to the power minus 6. V1 is given. When we multiply, what we get? 0.0012 coulomb charge. So this charge is utilized here in this equation. We call this equation number 1. C equivalent we calculated. Q, that is charge on C1, we have calculated. So by putting these values, we have calculated the value of V which was required, that is 133.3 volts. This is the value. Now, as I told you earlier, that capacitor basically is a device which is used to store charge, to store energy, and energy is stored in the form of a charge, where in the region between the two plates. Okay, for this purpose, let me consider here a circuit diagram. In the circuit diagram, before this, you can see this is giving you a parallel plate capacitor. This is the negative plate and the positive plate. So, in this case, this is a capacitor. All right, this is a battery. So, the two ends of the battery. This is a capacitor. This is a cell, that is a battery, and it is a two-way key. When it is connected, the capacitor is connected with the battery, so it is charged. The capacitor is storing charge, storing energy. Now, what happens when we disconnect this side and we connect now the two-way key with some load device, that is a bulb? You can see the bulb glows. How the bulb glows? Because the capacitor has used its energy. Its energy is utilized in glowing the bulb. Okay. Now we are going to calculate the energy stored in a capacitor. For this purpose, let me consider here the capacitor. This is the positive plate of the capacitor connected with the positive end of the battery. Negative plate of the capacitor connected with the negative end of the battery. Initially, when the capacitor is uncharged, so what would be the voltage? 0, because there is no charge. No charge means no field, no voltage. So initially the voltage is 0. What happens when we connect the two plates of a capacitor with the terminals of the battery, that is with the source? Then what will happen? The process of charging starts. The positive charges start to deposit at this plate of the capacitor. The negative charges start to deposit at this end of the capacitor, creating a potential difference between them that is given by V. So in that case, we have to find the average value of the voltage. Why? Because initially when you just start the process of charging, when the charging process starts, initially the stored energy is 0. That's why there is no voltage. So the initial voltage is 0 and the final voltage is V. How to find a single voltage? By finding the average. And how to find the average? You can see here, since we know that V average is equal to V1 plus V2 over 2. What is V1? V1 is the initial potential difference, which was 0. Why? Because there was no charging. But with the passage of time, when the process of charging starts developing a potential difference V, so we get here 0 initial voltage plus final voltage divided by 2. What we get? V by 2. So in this way we have derived a relation for the V average, that is V by 2. As we all know, here in this topic we have to find the energy stored, and the energy is given by this relation. If you remember the previous lectures, that is the energy stored may be change in potential energy, that is E is equal to Q into V. I think you remember this equation. So here Q is the charge which is deposited at the two plates of the capacitor, and V average is the voltage which is given by V by 2. So this V by 2, when we put it here in this formula, then what would be the energy stored? As I told you in my previous lecture, the energy stored, that is the electric potential energy, is represented by capital U. So we write down here U is equal to Q into V over 2, where what is Q? Q is the charge, and what is V? V is the applied voltage. As we all know that the equation of a capacitor is given by Q is equal to CV. All right. So here we have to use the value of Q in this equation. What comes, beta? U is equal to, what is Q? CV. So C into V over 2. That gives you CV square over 2. Similarly, what happens when we put the value of V, eliminate V. So what would be V? V would be equal to Q by C. So either you want to find the expression for the energy in the form of C into V or in the form of Q into V, we get this equation. While you want to eliminate for V, so V would be equal to Q by C. When we put it here, what we get? Q square over 2C. It is possible to regard the energy as being stored in the electric field between the plates rather than the potential energy of the charges on the plates. So we get here equation number 1. U is equal to CV square over 2. Alright, as we all know, in case of potential gradient, we have derived this equation. V is equal to E into D. And also, if you remember, in the previous topic, I told you that how you find the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. We derived this relation, if you remember. C is equal to A epsilon R epsilon naught over D, where what is A? A is the area of the plates of a capacitor. Epsilon R is the relative permittivity when you are using a dielectric. And what is epsilon naught? Epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. And what is D? D is the separation between the two plates. Alright. So by using V and C in equation number 1, we get this equation. Alright, and we have rearranged it and we have separated. I just write A and this D together. And this is E square. I write it here. 1D cancels with 1D. So we get A into D. As we all know, this is giving you what is written inside the bracket. The product of area and D. Area into distance is giving you volume. So instead, in equation number 2, what we get, instead of writing A into D, what we write down here? We write down here the volume. So U is equal to half into epsilon or epsilon naught E square. Instead of AD, what we write down? Volume. Now we shift this volume on this side of the equation. That is, U is giving you the energy stored. If I shift AD, that is the volume, on this side of the equation, it becomes energy per unit volume. Alright, and this energy per unit volume, that is U over AD, is known as energy density. This much energy is carried by the capacitor, and this is stored in the region between the two plates of a capacitor. Hope you all understand.